Welcome, guys, to the Hellstorm Wargaming Podcast, episode 26. Just for you boys. Just for you boys. Hello. Hello.
That's right. You guys get a special early preview on the Facebook community.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you very much for your support. I do love it. I do really appreciate it. And because I promised a podcast every single Monday, barring Christmas, it is not Christmas, though it will feel like it, because next Monday I'm actually going to be in Las Vegas. I'll probably be I'll actually still be awake at this time. It'll be like 4 p.m. But I won't be able to record with Jay because it'd be too awkward. So we're going to record episode 26 now, and then it'll be out live probably on Monday, maybe a couple of days before, because we're going to be talking about LVO Predictions and Chaos in Psychic Awakening, the Dark Angels and Thousand Suns.
Absolutely, both parts of the Chaos Codex got updated in there.
Exactly. So every single Chaos faction has been touched, bar Death Guard now. Joe is always early, says John. Joe Mohawk Miniatures. Or Joe
Brilliant.
Joe Middlegate from Siege Studios.
I am definitely going to throw you down a flight of stairs.
It's sad because that whole conversation has actually been disappeared off the internet, except for the people who saw it. So welcome everyone, thank you for tuning in. It's a shame that can you make Facebook chat auto scroll, because currently it's not, which is just terrible, so we have to keep scrolling down. I'll get rid of the chat box off the screen. So as I said, we do have an agenda, because we're very professional now. We have agendas. We're going to be talking about my list for the LVO, how I changed it from Caledonian Mayhem. Caledonian Revolution, sorry. And then we're going to talk about what we think will be the top 8 in the ITC, what armies we're expected to see, and or who's going to be piloting those armies. And we'll talk about my list and Tank's list as well. And then we'll talk about Psychic Awakening, some of the changes. It won't be as in-depth as the Grey Knights one, I don't think, because me and Jay aren't direct Dark Angels / Thousand Suns players.
Yeah.
But we'll be talking about it, and we'll see how it goes. And I'm sure you guys have got lots of interesting stuff you might be able to point out that we can share with everyone. So welcome everyone. Welcome John. Welcome Nick. Brilliant. That's a great way to say hello. Brett's here. Also Tom says money. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but there you go.
Not a clue.
No idea. It is one of the community questions. Is how much? Let's have a do that one now. I think I deleted it. It was like, how much is Mikey going to spend in Vegas, and are we going to have to start a GoFundMe for me to get home? And the answer is yes.
Yeah. So if you want Mikey to come back, everyone, you're going to have to start a GoFundMe campaign. If you like to leave him in Vegas, then just don't.
Just don't. Yeah, I'll have a great time. I'll live on the streets. I'll rob people. Yeah. That's what happens in Vegas.
Apparently so. Let's not go into that though.
Yeah.
So we are going to go into Vegas though, or at least you're going to go into Vegas, and we're going to talk about your Vegas list right now. Yeah.
One last point that's off topic about Vegas. I did get the money from the Bureau Exchange today, and my God, American money is so bizarre. It's like Monopoly money, like literally. Not to offend anyone, but it is literally like the Monopoly money. It's very long.
It's one of the only currencies where there's not many, but where all the notes are the same size.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really bizarre because they're all really long. They're all like one solid color, and then there's like a green one, and then there's like an orangey colored one, which is the $5, and it says it in big writing, like big numbers, like 20. There's no dollar sign or anything. It just says 20 in big, and it's like I use that to play Monopoly. But anyway,
I couldn't afford the Monopoly set as good as yours either. Then.
No, I had the Pokemon one. I still have it actually from when I was a child. I've definitely thrown up on some of that money.
Brilliant.
Anyway.
Brilliant. But that was when you were an adult, anyway.
Yeah, it was last year. So, my list for Las Vegas. That's what
yes, so you took this to Cali, and you said that if you went 3-2, then you changed the list completely.
Yeah.
So, for anyone that would be interested to know, how completely have you changed your list?
How completely became not so much. So, as basically, I wanted to do really well with the list. And initially, when I only went 3-2, which for a lot of people is it's an average score. It's good. It's not terrible. Obviously it's a positive score. So if you go 2-3 or win 2, lose 3, then you're kind of like you're on the negative. If you go 3-2, it's the complete opposite. It's the odds of it are higher, but it's kind of like you only won one more game. I was a little bit gutted at first.
Understandably.
Kind of thinking I wanted to go 4-1. Had I gone 4-1, I would have tweaked my list and then gone. But then I kind of like panicked and bought stuff to play Tank's list, essentially, because Tank's list is arguably better in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go into Tank's list soon. It's very similar to what Nick Nanavati was running at Pro Tabletop. The indestructible Dreadnought and then loads of intercessors, but arguably better since then because they've had some boosts with the things like the super apothecary and stuff like that. So I panicked and was going to change it to that list, and that was my intention to say I was going to change it completely. But then I decided to kind of stay the same because I enjoy the list. I spent a long time painting the list, and it's a little bit more flavorful because, like, as soon as I get back from Vegas and I'm doing more battle reports and I'm like, me and Tank are going to play our Vegas list together, it's the same list. Who's going to go first and who wins that game? But now, so we're taking 2 different lists. So I feel like my list is good. I feel like I hit some hard matchups and sometimes mirror matches just die. So I lost to, we went over it on episode 24, but I lost to Imperial Fist Flyers, which is Marcus, and I lost to an indestructible Astraeus and 3 Repulsor Executioners. And it was only the Astraeus, so it was annoying. So it's like come out of your. It's basically 2 big L's, and every time I brought a unit out to shoot it, it died. So it was like, what are you supposed to do? So my list now, it only had a couple of changes. I changed some characters, dropped unit suppressors, but I ended up putting in a Chaplain Dreadnought, which has been a very controversial topic at the Las Vegas Open, which is hilarious. Reason being, Salty John, or John Weyer-Mueller, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I don't know, I've never met the guy. But they basically look through the data of the units that are coming to LVO because BCP has been updated and it's really cool. Because now if you format your list correctly in their format, which is really simple, it's just write your units properly. Write their names right down.
Don't use Battlescribe and you're okay.
Well, actually, mine's Battlescribe email format, and I got rid of the couple of extra bits, and that worked fine. So,
nice.
So you can use Battlescribe. You have to get rid of created by Battlescribe and stuff like that, and you change how it titles, but otherwise it's mostly just Battlescribe email.
That's awesome.
For example, if you're watching live, might be able to see this. But this is like the type of format. So you write HQ and then the total power level and the total points. You write the name of the unit with its power level and total points, and then you just write down any points for the unit. Sorry, not the unit, the option. So like
for your upgrades.
For example, so like a Chaplain Venerable Dreadnought, he has a Dreadnought close combat weapon as standard that you can't change. So you don't need the points, but the Twin Las Cannon is an option, so you put the points on there. So it's like a super clear list format for reading because you can see everything, but also it gets recognized by the software in BCP. And then what it does is they can just pull that data. So it's like every time Chaplain Dreadnought gets recognized, it adds to a tally essentially.
Awesome.
Reason being, I'm going on to this conversation, is if you have a conversion or a counters, you have to have it approved. Chaplain Dreadnoughts can't be bought anymore, and they obviously are really good because they are 8 or 9 wounds, and so they can't be targeted. They have a twin las cannon. So they have a twin las cannon, which is like untargetable las cannons are a nightmare for most players. And then they have +1 strength 4 units within 6. They can one-shot a knight in close combat, and you can't target it unless you've got a sniper rifle, and most sniper rifles don't do anything to Dreadnoughts, or hardly anything.
Absolutely. So the one player that's taken an army full of Transonic arquebuses, he's laughing right now, but everybody else can suck it. Yeah,
he's having the best time. But so if you haven't had your conversion approved, then you'll have your model ripped off the table. But thankfully, I emailed John. I was like, "Hey, bro, I love you. Can you approve this?" And he's like, "Yeah, no worries, buddy." I'm pretty sure that's what it sounds like.
He could be. Yeah, totally. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
So you put your Chaplain Dreadnought in there, and it has been approved, so you will actually have it on the table.
I will.
The entirety of your game. So
exactly. It's a great conversion anyway. And then I should say, it's all Imperial Fist and it's a double battalion. So then I have a Primaris Lieutenant with a Mastercraft Stalker Bolt Rifle, I have an infiltrator squad of 5. I have an intercessor squad of 9, all with stockable rifles, and then a power fist on the sergeant. And then once minor changes, I lost 2 intercessors from this next unit because it's a unit of 6 with stockable rifles and a power fist. Then I have 3 thunderfire cannons as standard. Nice. No options there. But, it's Imperial Fist, so it all ignores cover. It's +1 damage against everything that's a vehicle, which is cool. And then the second battalion, I have a captain in Phobos armor. Reason being is I don't have to spend any CP. It's the next one. But you don't have to put any stratagems before the game starts on your list. So you can do them all at the table, including the Space Marine ones. Because I checked that as well. Then I have a Primaris Chapter Master with a Mastercrafter Stockable Rifle and a Power Sword. 3 units of 9 intercessors, all with power fists. A Primaris Ancient with the banner. And then I've got 2 units of suppressors. I did previously have 3. And then I have 2 whirlwinds. So if you heard the list already, it's not very much different. I basically lost a couple of intercessors. I lost a unit of suppressors and my old chaplain and turned it into a dreadnought chaplain. Reason being is...
I think that's a solid move.
Yeah, because having untargetable lads cannons is really good. The suppressors are okay, but what I was finding is I was deep striking one unit and they weren't doing anything, or I was keeping them in my back line and then they were doing all right. So now I've just gone, I'll just keep 2 units in my back line, or I'll just deep strike 2 units together. You can't really get 3 units all together usually because there's not enough space where you want them to be. So
they're quite chunky as well.
Because the 40mm bases, so they are, like dropping. Yeah. It's like as we talked about in the last episode, it's like dropping a paladin bomb in because it's 3. It's 9 40mm bases altogether. So I basically took a unit out because I found 2 units are doing well, 3 units weren't really needed for what I was wanting them for. And then I put the dreadnought in. So, and he also gives +1 strength to everything within 6.
Yeah.
So if you want to get
massive,
it is on such a big base as well. You think about Gulliman's old reroll bubble with 6 inches, you'd be able to get loads in there. It's essentially the same. It's exactly the same size. So now all my intercessors, they've got strength 10 power fists and strength 5 in combat, which is great. So if you want to get into those lines, what I was discussing with Jay before we actually went live was my old chaplain, because he was just an infantry dude. I was using Master of Sanctity, which is essentially you can an extra litany, I think, and then you can
you know an extra one, and you can do 2 as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, you can chant an extra litany, and so essentially, a chaplain in an Imperial Fist detachment in a pure Imperial Fist army has 4 litanies. Litany of Hate, which is his standard one. You choose 2 from the tree, and then you have Fortress of Resolve, which is the Imperial Fist standard one. The only downside to the Chaplain Dreadnought is he isn't technically a chaplain by keyword. He is a priest, which means you can't use Master of Sanctity on him, so he can only ever do 1 litany. He'll only ever know 1, and it doesn't gain the Imperial Fist specific one because he's not a chaplain. So he'll only have 2.
Sure, but it's still not the end of the world because you still got a massive buff, and you've always got that +1 strength aura going off.
Exactly. So it does different things, but it does the same as not quite as good, but it does different things as well. I said a long range las cannon is going to be really convenient, and still having a litany, and then the +1 strength is really good. It does just mean, because my original thoughts was I can take +1 to wound on the closest target, which is a bog standard one you'll take for that many intercessors. Maybe you'll take +2 to charge, or you'll take Mantra of Strength, which is +1 attack, strength, and damage on the chaplain. Now I'll have to choose between +1 to wound and the damage one, because it basically makes his dreadnought power fist strength 20 -3
gross.
and 4 damage hitting on 2s, which is just obnoxious.
It's completely unnecessary. My god, what a boy!
So on the charge, or when he's charged, he has 7 attacks at strength 20, 4 flat damage. So the games you use that is maybe against Imperial Knights, but then you're losing +1 to wound.
Definitely against Imperial Knights.
Yeah, and definitely against Centurions.
Yeah. You don't really need the +1 to wound. So the rest of your list is maybe you would use the +1 to wound. You've got a lot of stuff that's strength 7 with your suppressors and things like that.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of stuff that's strength 5 with your Thunderfires and whatnot. But I would definitely take the Dreadnought that I can't interact with. And that's why it's such a powerful thing, is because anytime you deny your opponent a chance to play the game they want to play, you're going to be in a position of strength. I can't do anything to that chaplain as a knight player, apart from get hit in the face with him first.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just keep shooting you with las cannons, and then when you finally make it into my intercessor screen, I just heroically intervene or something, and I just one bomb.
I know.
And before that, I might survive with an intercessor, and I punch you at strength 10, which is just obnoxious.
Yeah,
it's so obnoxious, but it's hilarious. But this is why there's so many chaplain dreadnoughts at LVO, as we've heard. So Thunderfire cannons and chaplain dreadnoughts are like literally, common as muck. I was going to say, common as muck.
Yeah, almost every Marine player has 3 of at least one of those things, and they're aiming for 3 of both. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
So we've gone through your list, which is great.
Yeah.
And on episode 24, which was the one produced last Monday, we went through as well the things that you're expecting to see and sort of do at the event.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think with the new list you're going to make it 5-1, or do you think you'll still get 6-0, or not so much either way?
The thing is, the difference that I was talking to Tom from the Honest Wargaming. I was doing some practice games with him, and he said something that was very interesting. So an event like Caledonian Uprising, which is 80 players, compared to the Las Vegas Open, arguably you can have more players that are better than some of the players around. Like, you're gonna have the best players from around the world at the Las Vegas Open, right? At Caledonian Uprising, you have some of the best players in the UK there.
Yeah.
Let's say you have 10 of the, say you have Team England at Cali Uprising, because you had Tony Chu, you had Alex Harrison, you had, and obviously these aren't Tom or Team England, but they have been. So you had those 2. You had Manny Chima, you had Mike Porter, for example. That's 4. You had loads of other people, which are all Team England. You got Marcus Hinton, who I played. So let's say you had 5 to 10 players, which are some of the best players in the country at this event of 80 man. Right? No, let's say 8, because it makes the maths easier. So that's 10%.
Okay. That's 10%.
10% of the field are some of the best players in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Let's say
it'll still be the same at the LVO, right? That's where you're going with this.
Well,
10% of the field will be the best players in the world.
Yes, but your chances of hitting them are slimmer, because it's the same percentage, but you've got so you've got 1 in 80 chance, 8 in 80 chance of hitting them, but now you've got 100%, maybe 100 players out of 1,000 players, so there's 900 chances of not hitting the best player in the world, or one of the best players in the world. So you've got more better players, but your chances of hitting them are very slim, because there's so many players. It's so diluted.
I'd say that's true for game 1 or 2.
Yeah, maybe.
And then
you could have average
from
Joe.
game 3 on.
You could have average Joe, who plays 2 people who have not played many events, and he does really well. And then I have a list who, I consider myself better than average Joe, but not better than most people. So I could hit average Joe round 3 and take him out, and then I've just climbed, and I've just, maybe Nick Nanavati hits John Lennon, for example. That same round, they take each other out. So you have more good players, but the percentage is the same, but the dilution is different, if that makes sense, because you have a bigger quantity. So on average, the player skill is lower than something like Cali Uprising, mathematically.
Yes, if you look at it from that perspective, I think you and Tom have got a definite.
I'm not saying that it's 100% accurate, but what I'm saying is, from the outset, it looks like the dilution is different. If that makes sense.
So because of that, and because you've got less chance of hitting.
So to answer your question,
the best players.
Yeah. To answer your question, I don't think I'll go 6-0 unless I get lucky.
Okay.
Unless I get lucky, and by lucky I mean dodging all of the best players, which is more possible than doing it as something like Cali Uprising, I think.
Yeah, for definite. So that's only one of the 2 requirements needed to make it through to the final day of the LVO. Yeah. Because you've got 1,000 players. After the first round, 500. The second round, 250. Third is 125. With assuming a few draws have happened, just to keep the maths easier, you've got 60, 30, 15.
Yes.
So you've got 15 players that are undefeated.
So currently the way...
That's hard.
Yeah. The way it works currently is the top 12, the top 4 get an automatic top 8 placement, and then the placings 5 to 12 play what's known as a ghost round, which won't be live streamed by Warhammer TV, but it might be streamed by other channels such as FLG Zone or I think Chapter Tactics going to stream it. I know Falcon and Val are streaming on their own Twitch channel, so they might stream it. But you have essentially an extra knockout round. Doesn't do anything towards the tournament. It essentially just breaks up the top 12 players to get into the top 4. So it's essentially a free knockout. You don't get any ITC points for it. It doesn't go on your BCP or anything like that. It's a ghost round. So you might have to play a 4th game on the Saturday, taking your total games to 7. That was that point, starting at 9 p.m. To get into the top 8. So
your brain is going to be done by that point.
I'm going to be so done. It's a weird as well, because it's like an unfair advantage. It's like a weird advantage for the better players. So the top 4 who already got a place can just go to bed.
Sure.
But
that's the way seedings work anyway, though, right?
But let's say better than average Joe, me, happens to get into the top 12. They have to play a 7th round and then 8th and 9th and potentially 10th on the Sunday.
Yeah. Do it the hard way, man. Yeah, Power through. Be an Iron Man.
Get your money's worth. But yeah, so I don't think I'll become top 8. If I did, I will just like sing and dance all my way, all around all the players. I'm like, I made it. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm having a great time. And I'll probably go gamble after that and lose all my money. But I think my goal is to become top 50, which I think is still going to be hard. That's 5-1 at least.
Yeah.
So if I become top 100, I'll be happy. If I come 200, like 100 to 200, I'll still be reasonably happy. I'll be like, could have done better. Anything below than that, I'll be like, I didn't actually go to Vegas. I was really sick.
Well, to put it back in the context of the conversation, saying how you've got this gigantic pool of players coming in the top 100 because it's a 1,000-player tournament is like coming in the top 10 of most of the very big UK tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's still an achievement. So look at it from that perspective.
Yeah, exactly. So top 100, I'd be laughing. Like top 50 is the goal. That's like essentially just shy of podium. Top 100, I'm like having a great time. But yeah, so if I come like 100 to 200, it's like coming 10 to 20 for a 100-man event, which is still really good. So
nice. Well, earlier on we had a brief look through some of the lists you might be running into. So you're running you've got a currently somewhat generic Imperial Fists list. You've got your artillery, you've got your heavy weapons, you've got your bolt rifles. Yeah. What more could you ask for, essentially?
Yeah, exactly. We should probably move on to tanks list. I was going to say, just because I mentioned the list I was going to take. So tank is taking an Iron Hands brigade. Pure Iron Hands, so it's no successor. Mm-hmm. The reason this has come back into the fray is because of Pharos, his update being infantry only. And then the Apothecary Warlord with the Chief Apothecary and is it Father of the Future Warlord trait, where you essentially give a 6-up feel no pain to all units within 6. Yep. Unless you already have it, then it's a 5+.
It's back to where the old Iron Hands from like 7th were, where you have feel no pains stacked with to give you one super feel no pain rather than lots of little feel no pains.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's a horrible list.
Yeah, give that guy Voxic Spirits and then all units within 9 have a 5-up feel no pain. All units of 6 of Pharos have a 5-up in run. So you essentially got Plague Bearers with Stocker Bolt Rifles. You got 35 of them.
It is mental. Yeah. It is absolutely mental. It's not even just that it's Plague Bearers, because it's Plague Bearers that also happen to have a 3-up armor save.
And 2 wounds.
Yeah.
And they get back up.
it's stupid good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 35 intercessors in that list. Mm-hmm. Some suppressors, a Leviathan, a Grav Devastator drop pod. So that's a really, really useful tool, but must be used very cleverly. Mm-hmm. And then you've got your Thunderfire Cannon in there as well.
Yeah, standard Thunderfire Cannon. You'd never leave home with that one as a Space Marine player. Don't matter what faction you're playing.
I think Tank's going to do really, really well with that.
Yeah, I think so. He's really good with the list. I said we played a while ago. It was a slightly different iteration with 1-for-1, both going first. But I think he'd probably beat me every time.
Right.
Now he's played that army quite a bit more than I have now. I think because basically what I did is I Thunderfire Cannon the Leviathan, and I was just like, I'm just going to stay out of range of that guy, which is very fun.
Right.
But yeah, so basically the Leviathan becomes a character. It's then Ironstone, half damage, so 6 1 damage is 1 damage, 3 damage is 1 damage, 5 damage is 2 damage.
Yeah.
6 damage is also 2 damage.
Disgraceful.
Yeah, and then you've got a 5+ feel no pain because he takes a Warlord trait. And then if he does take a wound, you've got Conjugated Martyrdom, So then after you've taken your armor save, after you've halved the damage and reduced it by 1, and taken a 5+ feel no pain, you then pass it on to an intercessor who gets a 5+ feel no pain. Which is just obnoxious. Right. Absolutely ridiculous. Hashtag needs nerf. Space Marines are insane, but that is just not how it should work. Clearly, it should be pass it to an intercessor. Half the damage, but don't take a feel no pain before you pass it.
Sure. The question I've got for Tank, essentially, I know he's not here to answer it, is I ran Leviathan Dreadnought at the weekend. I went to a local event. I was fortunate enough to win the event, and every single game I had the Leviathan as my warlord, and paid for Martian to give him a warlord trait. Mm-hmm. And I gave him the one which allows you to consolidate 6 inches in any direction, Student of History.
Yeah. Because
the way to shut that down is obviously by just sort of touching it in combat. Admittedly, you've got a humongous screen of intercessors that just don't die. But do you not think that essentially anyone that's worth their salt would be shooting at everything that isn't the Dreadnought and having to ignore it?
Well,
and therefore things like that would just be a waste.
Yeah, the trap is that people shoot the Dreadnought.
Exactly. And so anyone that knows what they're doing ignores the Dreadnought, shoots it, and then will eventually walk up to you and just...
Yeah. But the thing is that what you've not listed on here, which you might not remember, is the Leviathan doesn't have 2 storm cannons. It has a storm cannon and a siege drill.
Ah, I did miss that. Yes, I very did miss that. So, that makes everything very different.
So that Leviathan, when you get dunked in combat, is strength 16 minus 4 and 4 damage.
Yeah, Nick ran a very similar list.
7 attacks, I think. Maybe 6.
Yeah, he ran it with the Contemptor relic, I think, with twin las and the missiles and a chain fist, because it essentially does the same.
Yeah,
same
exactly.
Thing.
The thing is with the siege drill compared to the chain fist. Oh, actually, no, I think it's the same because I think the chain fist is 4 damage into it.
It is, yeah.
It basically counters Centurions.
Absolutely.
The issue with a double storm cannon and the 6-inch console. What's the warlord trait again? The 6
Student of History.
Student of History. The issue with that is if you have something that attacks you first. Let's say you have a big blob of something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Gene Stealer Acolytes, for example, they just wrap around you. They can essentially charge, pile in, consolidate before you even get a chance to move.
So you think it's going to be too late anyway?
It's good, don't get me wrong, but if you get a good charge against a Leviathan, you can wrap it before it gets to activate. So I don't think it's a bad play. I'm just saying that's how you get around the Student of History Leviathan is. But with this one, you don't want to be in combat with it because it's got loads of attacks that just murder everything. Sure. It one-shots.
Well, no, I'd still throw 20 Acolytes into it, high up 2 turns. But it's a beast. You can't put anything that's good into it. A single Space Marine captain's got 4 wounds, right? You fell in invuln, he's toast.
Bomb. Yeah, exactly.
So good luck with your Smash Captain.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I like Tank's list. I think he's going to do. I think it's a list that's just hard to play against.
Yeah, it's a really good list. It denies secondaries. There's no killing secondaries. You can take marks for death on 2 units of intercessors, the Leviathan, and that's it. You can take Kingslayer against the Leviathan, but the fact that you can't do any damage against it is tough. There's no other killing secondaries you can take against it, so you have to rely on your list for doing that, which is really good.
You can just get Headhunter if the Leviathan's a character, but good luck killing that Leviathan.
That's the thing, you've got to get that Leviathan, so I'm basically relying on 3 CP sniper stratagem to do anything against it. Yeah. Great. So, yeah, fair play to Tank. I said that was the list I was going to take, because me and Tank was basically, we played it, and he was just like, you should just take this list, and I was like, maybe I should just take that list. And then I went 3-2 at Cali, and I was like, I'm going to take that list, and then I slept on it, I was like, I'm going to be different, because why not? So
nice.
So, yeah.
Well, speaking of that list, John Lennon, who's a very accomplished Space Marine player, is taking essentially the same kind of list. There's a few small changes, and there's a lot of the... if you were to look through the who's who of the ITC, if you're a member of the BCP sort of community and you subscribe today, you can look at all the lists for any event, even those you're not attending. And it's very useful to sort of look through and just spot the small differences in what people are taking.
Yeah, I just
John Lennon, who's currently
a green bottle,
fourth.
So you can't see it.
All I see is Thanos' glove just waving about.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sorry. So you got Richard Siegel, who's at the top. You got Jim Vessel, and Nick Rhodes, who's third, and Nanavat is 4th or 5th or something.
Absolutely. Now, Richard, I kind of want to talk about his list, and you'll be able to give us some small insights here, I'm sure. He's taking an Iron Hands list.
Yeah, so Richard Siegler is famous for Tau. Bam.
Yeah.
He's taking Iron Hands.
And he's not taking Flyer Spam or anything like that either. He's taking a similar list to the one that sort of Tankers run, but he's got a very different move here. And it's the only person out of all the lists I looked at that had done this.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken a specialist detachment of Indomitus Crusaders.
Yeah. It's really
Why do you think he would have done that?
Reason being is because you're already Iron Hands. Usually, Indomitus Crusaders, you'd normally want it for the defense to become Iron Hands. But turn 1, he can make all those intercessors ignore cover and get extra hits on a 6 by making Imperial Fists. He can make them Crimson Fists for the same sort of deal. You could, if he wanted to, if he got charged turn 1 by something, he could pull out and be Ultramarines. But I think the main thing is to be Imperial Fists.
Cool.
The reason being is something I spoke about in episode 25, the previous episode, about the Grey Knights and the unmodified 6s. There's things like possessed bombs which are floating around. For example, Jim Vessel is running the possessed bomb. Alex Harrison is running the possessed bomb. What you have in that list is you have a -4 Disco Lord or a -3 possessed bomb. When you're -4 in BS3, Jay, nothing happens. Usually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Usually. So
there's some BS right there, I'll tell you.
Exactly. So with the Imperial Fists coming out and then FAQs and then reverse FAQs, when you rolled a 6 to hit, what he did do was then an extra hit counters as a 6 as well. And what you were seeing was Imperial Fists stacking Indomitus Crusaders with Crimson Fists and getting like 5 hits with one roll of the 6. Because you're going, this is a 6 and now this is a 6, so that causes 6. Because it's like 3 different rules. So the same rule is generating extra 6s. It was generating another rule and then generating back of itself.
Absolutely just silly.
Yeah, it was pretty bonkers. But so what they did, they FAQ'd unmodified hit scores an additional hit. Whereas the dice roll that is an additional hit isn't a dice roll, it's just a hit.
Yeah.
So if you hit on 3s and you roll a 6 to hit, you'd normally say it counts as 2 hits, but it doesn't. It technically counts as an additional hit, which is no longer a dice roll. You've got a 6 and then a hit on top of that. With the -4 Disco Lords, etc., when you're BS3 and hitting on 7s, you can't technically hit.
Yeah.
But if you roll a 6, an unmodified 6 counts as an additional hit. So now you're essentially hitting on 6s. Because that's right. That 6 dice roll becomes a 7, so it misses, but the additional hit hits. So now your bolters can hit stuff that's minus infinity, which is really fun. So now you
absolutely,
and then you damage 3.
yeah. Then it hurts.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. I saw Jim Vessel post about it in competitive 40k Facebook group earlier today, being the 20th, and I was like, oh no, he's noticed and he's scared now. But yeah, so that's why I think Siegler's put it in. As we discussed offline, the fact that Tau can't interact with the possessed bomb.
Yeah.
Because you're -4, you can't target anything but that. You don't want to be in combat, and that's the only way you can deal with it. So what happens is army just sits around the Tau, holds the board, and goes, you can charge me if you want, but you can't shoot me, and I'm not going to shoot. Yeah, I don't need to charge you, because you'll hit me on 5s.
That's the worst thing that you could do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You go from hitting on 7s to hitting on 5s.
Yeah, you can't interact with me. I'm just going to sit on the board, and you can do what you want. If you charge me, I get to Overwatch you, and you're crap in combat. So I think that's why Siegel has gone for Iron Hands rather than Tau, because he's likely to get to the top 8 and he's likely hit a possessed bomb from Jim or Alex or someone like that.
And one of the things that he's famous for, obviously, is the Tau. He's played the Tau for pretty much the entirety of the season. I'm pretty confident he still had plenty of reps with this army. Yeah. But I'm hoping he doesn't get caught out by just a slight lack of experience in one of those properly clutch games at the top 8 on day 3. Because that'd be really, really sad. I'd love to see the guy win the ITC. He's currently number 1 in the ITC. I'm hoping he can stay there. I'd have loved to see him stay Tau to do that. But we just spoke about the possessed bombs. There's a couple of guys that are going that are definitely taking those. You said Alex, Nick Nanavati. Sorry, not Nick. Nick was thinking about it, I think. Alex Harrison.
Alex and Jim Vessel.
He's taking it.
Both taking
and Jim.
bomb.
That's it.
Yeah.
There we go. And Alex has got a slightly different version where he's putting some obliterators in as well. So it's less of a one-trick pony of I've just got this one big super unit that will eventually get in and wreak havoc. And they do look very nicely painted and it's slightly familiar as well.
Yeah. Do they look like Vic's by any chance? So Alex is taking Vic's list. Vic VJ, he took the same list to Cali Uprising, the same event. The fact is, it's got some shooting, so it can kill some of the crappy screens that the possessed don't really want to touch. They want to get straight through there. And also, because the whole point of the possessed bomb is you have conceal, which is in Alpha Legion stratagem to basically make you untargetable. You can't target unless it's the closest visible unit. So you can't snipe it and you can't target it because there's something else in the way. Usually a disco load that's -4. And obviously disco loads are hard to shift anyway because they've got 2 up armor save. They've got 5+ invuln. They've got 12 wounds or something. Really good. They're vehicles, so I said Imperial Fist love them, but most armies can't interact with it because not every army is an Imperial Fist. So when you're -4, most of people's armies can't touch you.
It's pretty nails.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing we've got, if I can just move on a little bit, there's a couple of guys that are taking white scars. So we've had Nick, who's been quite famous for his iron hands. He's now taking white scars. Nick Rose and Nick Nanavati are both doing that.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, really good to see. A little bit of diversity in the Marines again, back to white scars. You think this is because of the possessed?
I'm not sure. It's a really strange move, to be honest, because I know like Nick's a good player. He can play a lot of armies. Don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like out of nowhere. A lot of people have changed factions. Like I said, like Nick, like John, not John, Nick Rose,
Nick Rose,
and Siegler. But obviously we know why. It's the thing is with the Iron Hands, it plays very similar to Tau. So it's just like I've got 3 big suits. I have my characters on objectives, but I think it's interesting. I think the White Scars list is worse than the Iron Hands one. To be honest, the one he was running.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I think this is something that's been very calculated.
Yeah, it all infiltrates 9 inches away from you turn 1. But I mean, if one failed wrap because something happens, like a morale test or something, or it's just like waving about with power armor just sat there, and what comes up to a Leviathan that it can't interact with because it doesn't die. This
is one of the things I like about Nick Rose's list, though. He's got, I think, 4 impulsors in there.
Yeah.
So you've got a tank that's giving you a negative to charge, that's got fly, so it can easily fall back over stuff for getting out of combat and things like that. It's a very large model, so you can hide plenty of things behind it as well.
Yeah.
So you could definitely get some play with that. And Nick Rose has taken 20 Reavers.
Yeah.
Like if he gets those in on turn 3, then my God, they will be horrendous. But no one's playing them.
No.
At least publicly. So
I feel like this is less of this is a better list to I've been playing a list and people know how to deal with it. So I'm going to take a list that might arguably be worse, but people don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah,
I think that's the reason.
That's right. It catch a few people out, and then you've got player skill to take into account as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And then lastly, if we talk about something that isn't Marines or Chaos, we have got some Xenos players going to the LVO. There's probably 7 of them or something.
Wow.
Mark Crumbleholm, who is a very accomplished Eldar player and has won many tournaments over here, is taking some Harlequins and some his own Craft World Eldari. Mm-hmm. He's got a couple of detachments with the Spearhead. Warlock on the bike with some Wasps, which are the Forge Walker.
Yeah.
Star cannons all over the place.
Yeah.
He's got a Crimson Hunter Exarch with the Hawkeye power, which I've forgotten what that does off the top of my head. And another Hawkeye one basically the same thing.
I think Hawkeye is ignore the penalty for moving, but I'll just double check while you talk.
Nice. He's got another one with a Warlock Skyrunner and 3 Warwalkers with the missile launchers, a couple of units of Dark Reapers, and then some Harlequins with a load of Skyrunners to just dish out haywire and mortal wounds everywhere.
Yeah.
So I really like that list.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, if you're watching live, you just probably saw me nearly fall off my chair, but there you go.
I missed that. You put a different screen up over my view.
Well, let me.
Using the reroll hit, wound, and damage rolls per unit, those Warwalkers and the Wasps are going to do a lot of work.
Yeah. So, Hawkeyes do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons.
Nice.
So, like, 3s to hit re-rolling 1s is worse than 2s to hit, so...
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's a brilliant list. I think it could do very well against any of the Marine lists that we've just spoken about. I'm not sure how that'll deal with all the horrendous possessed.
Yeah.
But certainly against any heavy vehicle list, you've got an absolute ton of mortal wounds that don't give a damn about an Ironstone turn. They just do mortal wounds.
Yeah, exactly.
And you've just got a 5-up feel no pain.
And the reason being is you've got the Dark Reapers in there because they always hit on 3s. So they'll be hitting Disco Lords and Possessed Bombs like nothing. So that is... He literally told me that's the reason he's putting them in. So, which is really cool. And again, Skyrunners, 3 units of 6 because, again, as you say, mortal wounds, the fact that they're really fast, they can wrap really easily because they've got gigantic bases. They've got a 3-up invuln for most of the game, which is really good. And then you got
they're very solid.
Solitaire for just one bombing and yeeting himself across the board. And then
yeah, I love the Solitaire.
Yeah, which is really good for like what is he like 80 points or something now?
Yeah, big time.
Rob Edwards in the chat has just said Nick Nanavati talks about leveraging player skill over pure list power. I agree about the Iron Hands list being better on paper. Yeah, exactly. So he talked about that in his own podcast. He's not even here to plug it, but here we are. So the Art of War, which is a really good podcast he does for FLG. And he basically says that it's like you can't always win with the list. I've got to rely on my player skill to beat people, which is fine. Yeah, it's totally right. So that's
that's what I'd rather the game was.
Yeah, exactly.
Every step of the way.
Yeah. So it's like what I think the way Elliot put it at the LGT, it was like a song of ice and fire because Americans is all ice because it's all toolboxy, but like UK Meta's Math Hammer is fire. It's just like I'm just going to kill you as much as possible quickly. So they're definitely playing with that toolbox there with the White Scars changeover.
Yeah, I think so.
So
definitely think so.
Yeah. So
nice. Well, that's a good overview of this sort of weekend's LVO from our perspective, at least.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
Mikey, I'm sure you'll do 6-0.
Oh, thanks, man. I am sharing a room with Tank, Manichima, and Alex Harrison. So I mean, it is if that was 4 of the top 8, that would just be legendary. Like, yo, bros, how are we doing?
It'd be good. That room would be
very.
I'm not sure you could fit the 4 of you in there plus all of your egos at that point.
No, I don't think so.
Problem.
I 100% agree. But yeah, it should be a laugh. So hopefully I do well.
Well, let's go and have a look at the new Chaos stuff. So do you want to start with the Thousand Suns flavored Chaos stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Or the green and black and bone-coloured Chaos stuff?
It's not green on camera if you're watching live because it's been green screened out. It's just black. So in the last show, if you're listening live, then thank you for chugging through us. But in the last show, we talked about the Grey Knights, the Imperium of the Warhammer 40k Psychic Awakening 4 Ritual of the Damned. I appreciate that everyone's already done videos and bat reports and stuff. Obviously, I've been painting for the LVO, so I am the early editor. So please subscribe and support me. Not making any good videos, just painting. But yeah, so we're just going to talk about some of the stuff that we've seen, what we think is cool, what we think is kind of a bit meh, maybe. Talk about some of the extra stuff that Thousand Suns have got for Chaos, and then Dark Angels for Chaos as well. So, nice. And there you go, that's the meme over now. I'm going to stop saying it. The memes in the title. It's the oldest joke in the bulk. It's like the oldest memes that have been they haven't survived. They just keep getting dragged out. It's Magnus did nothing wrong. Dark Angels are actually Chaos. And what's the third one? There's another one as well. Blood Ravens nicking things,
It's always Blood Ravens stealing things.
Yeah, exactly.
Always Blood Ravens stealing things. Borrowing. Creative borrowing.
It'd be like me using like... what was like a really old meme? I can't remember now. Like just a really old meme. Like be like me dragging that up, but in modern day, you just wouldn't do it. Like Pepe the Frog. It's like a 10-year-old meme. You know what I mean? Like think about Pepe the Frog. Like if you brought that up today in a conversation, people look at you like, why are you bringing up that dead meme? But no, it's okay for Magnus did nothing wrong in Dark Angels of Chaos. Like why? Why is it okay? And the answer is, Jay, it's not. People need new memes.
It's definitely not okay because Magnus did plenty wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's in the Warhammer community.
Moving on.
It's in this book. It's written down in this book.
That Magnus did wrong. Absolutely.
Magnus did do wrong. He was a very naughty boy. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
He's not the Messiah. Brilliant. 1, sir. 3, no, 5.
So anyway, so the Sons of Magnus. So in this book, it probably changed the way a faction works more than what we've seen in any other book. Kind of.
Yeah, hugely.
So not in any other Psychic Awakening book, anyway. Obviously, we've seen successive chapters, but like the way these work is essentially you have cults, which are kind of like chapter tactics, but not really, because what it does, it gives you a specific psychic power, warlord trait, and relic. So
that's right.
Which is interesting, rather than having it all in one. It just gives you an access to a specific one, if that makes sense. So you don't have like a list of relics. You don't have a list of warlord traits. If you decide you're from a cult, if you want to go out with your particular mates because you're wearing the same, I don't know, same Gucci watch or something, then you can have a particular psychic power or warlord trait. So there are 9 to choose from?
There are 9. Yeah, they're
9.
based on the old Prospero cults, I think.
Yeah, so you have Cult of, and then I'm not going to say that ever again, but Prophecy, Time, Mutation, Scheming, Magic, Knowledge, Change, Duplicity, and Manipulation. And this lines up closely to the Disciples of Tzeentch battle tome for AOS, which is quite interesting as well. Obviously, keeping that theme of chaos. Like, chaos in both games is the same, it's just different units, essentially.
Yeah, you got chaotic bolt guns instead of chaotic magic wands.
And sometimes not even different units because you've got horrors. You know?
Yeah,
you got
Zangles.
You got mangly bits on both of it. So you also get a name generator, Jay. Just thought I'd let you know.
Woo!
I love the name.
Are you going to be our 1,000 Sun?
Shall be 1,000. We didn't actually.
Should we see what you've got, and then
I'll
have to be the dork angle.
Yeah, but we didn't call Toby.
So I've got some dice ready. We've got some Hellstorm dice.
Do you want to do name 1 for me?
Yeah. So it is
something
22.
22. Imhoden.
Imhoden.
And then name 2 is 3 and a 1. Imoden Kion. Okay.
That's not bad.
Imoden Kion. That'd be my voice. That's my name character.
You sound definitely not like an extra from The Mummy Returns. So.
What a great movie. So
when even the reboot's an absolute pile of smiling poop emoji, then you know.
Smiling pile of poo. So if you're Battle Force and you have 1,000 Suns detachment, you can select which cult they come from. Everyone gets the keyword except for cultists, Zangor, and named characters. So it does say that you can include characters, special characters in a detachment.
Yes.
And still gain the cult, but they won't benefit from it personally.
Yeah.
So Ahriman, it can't be from any cult. He's the master of all cults, which means he's the jack of all none. The jack of all cults, but master of none.
Yeah, I'm kind of gutted that for Magnus and Ahriman, it didn't give you where you could benefit from any of the cults that were in your list. So you wouldn't have all 9 powers, for instance, Magnus, but you would be able to choose the ones that you're allied with in that game. I think exactly. That's what they should have done.
So if you said you were Cult of Prophecy, they would get it as well, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. I'm surprised they don't have a specific one, but they don't break other ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they're but then again, they are the masters of all, so they essentially they don't do any, which is interesting. So
yeah, it's one way to go, but it's that's how they've done it.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I did say is I'm not going to sit and read through them all, but what I did think is a lot of them are okay. None of them jumped out at me. I don't know if they did to you, but none of them went, actually, that's really good. There's the Cult of Mutation. I think the Psychic Power is... Which one is there? Is
Psychic Power is warp reality for that.
Yeah, which sounds amazing. And the power is decent. So I'll just go click over here. It's Watch Out 6. Select one terrain feature within 18. Obviously, that's going to be 24 when you pure 1,000 Suns. Select one enemy unit within 3 of that terrain feature until the start of the next excited phase. Have that unit's move characteristic and subtract 1 for the advanced rolls and charge rolls for that made that unit. That was quite good to just slow a unit down, because obviously if you're going to hide a unit, you're going to hide it in cover most games. If you're playing against a combat unit like Centurions, for example, you're just absolutely nailing that unit. It's not going anywhere. There's a couple that, like, a lot of them do mortal wounds. There's one Cult of Scheming, so you can shoot as if after you fall back, which is cool.
I really like the Cult of Scheming, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Cult of Scheming is probably my favourite out of all of them because of their relic.
Yeah. So
they've got a relic. This is brilliant. So a couple of quick things about the thousands update in this. Every one of the cults that you use is a detachment. So it's like mono detachment. Everything's got to be in that detachment. But you can take multiple. It doesn't matter if you soup anything else in that's not in that detachment. That's fine too. So this is epic. Once per battle, in any phase, you can use Shackethel's theorem.
Thank you.
I'm dyslexic. That could be anything. Who knows?
It was basically, it was that, yeah. It was basically
nice.
if a dyslexic had wrote it.
Excellent. If a model of this relic is on the battlefield, you can use a relic. If you do, select one stratagem. That's it. Until the end of the phase, or until after that stratagem is used, with this relic's controlling player, whichever comes sooner, reduce the command point cost of that stratagem to 0.
Yeah, that is really good.
So you take 1,000 Suns Supreme Command Attachment, chuck in Araman because he's a boss.
He's a boss.
Chuck in Magnus because he's a boss. A couple of Exalted Sorcerers.
Yeah.
And you can choose that cult. And one of your Exalted Sorcerers gets that. Now think about all of the different stratagems that, as a Chaos player, you've got access to that you might want to use at some point in a game that cost 3 CP.
Oh, I've just realised.
That suddenly cost nothing.
Yeah, that's any stratagem.
Yeah.
I didn't read that.
I know, right? You read that and you're like...
I read it and I was like, okay. So I get to use like Cabal of Sorcerers for free every turn. Great. Oh, okay. Let's use Conceal every turn for free. Because banter, and I was already taking 1,000 Suns anyway.
Yeah.
So hey Vic, how's it going?
Horrible.
Yeah, so like you shoot twice. That's pretty good. Shoot twice, amazing. Yeah. Oh wow, okay. Yeah, okay, so clearly I haven't looked into this hard enough. It's very much okay, that was rubbish. That's fine.
I've got another one which is good though, which I believe is this. Yeah, so the Cult of Magic, which is on the same page. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the only page you need from this book.
Yeah, Cult of Magic.
Psychic power is Astral Blast.
Yeah.
Warp charge value is 6. If manifested, the closest enemy unit within 9, which will be 15 because you're 1,000 Suns.
Yeah.
And visible suffers D3 more. Cool, not bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And each other unit within 3 inches of that unit suffers.
Everyone else
that's
has
not
one
bad.
mortal wound. Yeah, you just cut out. So I repeated you. Sorry.
Cool.
The Brotherhood of Sorcerers does not extend that range, so it is only 3 inches. Should be noted.
No, that's right. That's the splash is still the same size, but you then pair that with the Warlord trait, Devastating Sorcery.
Yeah.
When this Warlord manifests psychic power that inflicts one or more mortal wounds on an enemy unit, increase the mortal wounds inflicted on that unit by 1. E.g., D3 becomes D3 plus 1. So you do D3 plus 1 on one unit in a nice blob of stuff, and then 2 on everything within 3 inches.
Yeah, that's really good. Especially like Thunderfire Cannon castles, just nail something.
Yeah. Tau shield drones, all that sort of stuff.
It is the closest unit, but it doesn't say you have to be visible, which is cool.
Yeah.
15 inches is quite a long range.
Yeah. You do have to be visible. Closest unit within 9 inches of
and visible
to the
okay, cool. I obviously did that thing where I read the first bit that I wanted to read.
Yeah. It's normally written that way around, like visible to and within. Or closest visible unit within. So. Yeah. But I think both of those are really, really good.
Yeah, tied together they are. The relic as well is like add 1 to cast, which is quite good.
It's nice.
Because when you can already take... I mean, you can't take multiple Warlords. So if you didn't want to take that one, you could take High Magister to get +1 to cast. And then Arcane Focus for +1 to cast. So you get +2 to cast.
They've got some really cool stuff in there. And they do have some strategy. Like you just said, Magister's really good. It allows you to take 2 Warlord traits. There's a brilliant one for Scarab Occult Terminators, essentially.
Yeah. I was just checking that. So you can take a Warlord trait, High Magister, from the old Codex. +1 to cast from any psychic test you take. Take Arcane Focus. When a test is taken, add 1 to the total. So you get +2 to cast. Wow, Death X going off on a 6. Horrific.
Yeah. Not to mention, you've then got Magnus, who gets +2. Araman, who gets +1.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of points, but you could make that a really horrible list I have to face off against.
Yeah, then you can use Cabal. Cabal of Sorcerers, I believe it's called.
That's right. Is that if you've got 2 within X range of each other or something, they get buffs?
Kabbalistic focus, so it's
that's it.
Use a stratagem before attempting to cast psychic power. If you have 2 of the friendly psychers within 6, you can add 2 to the test. So you're casting on a +4.
+4.
Oh, but noxious.
Why not, right? I'm super smiting you on a 7.
Yeah. With the rerolling ones if you need Magnus.
Yeah.
Tom Rammer says, can we just photocopy that page a few hundred times and flog it for a quid to Thousand Suns players? Yeah, why not? Save them a few quid.
Happy days. Mikey said yes.
Vic said, Astral Blast splashes off the whole newest unit rather than just the newest model like other similar stuff. Like Infernal Gateway, which is really good. So it's like, if you got a big blob, it hits everything around it, which is really good.
Right.
So it's a humongous range. Really strong. And then Neil says, Deep Strike can terminate sorcerer with a +1 to cast 2. Yeah, exactly. So you can go +1 to cast, +1 to cast again if you want to take a relic or the wall and trait, or vice versa. And then, do the extra mortal wound, just really cheeky. Really cheeky. Okay.
Crazy good.
So yeah, I would say there's a couple of the good ones. I think the thing is, it's going to be one of those. It's where if you really dive into this book, you might be able to find some amazing combinations. But there's nothing that's like super duper, except for the ones you've just pointed out, which I clearly missed. There isn't anything else that I've seen that is super duper obvious. That's like, wow, that's the best.
Yeah, there's nothing that's just like an overall power spike for a Thousand Suns army that takes you from like mid tables to you're winning every event you go to. You know, that's not happening, and thank God, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of
you can play, you can definitely play with it and have a great time trying it out, trying different stuff. So they also gain 7 stratagems, which is cool.
Yes.
As you said, they get Magister, so you can now take 2 Warlord traits, which is nice. So again, you can take the one with the extra mortal wounds and then take someone else with +1 to cast, because that's going to be the most obvious choice every time.
Yeah.
Especially like, oh my god, I just thought Terminator Sorcerer with a familiar, with a Warlord trait and a relic gets +3 to cast on his first power.
Yeah. I can deep strike, so God forbid you, because he's going to absolutely nuke somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And then cast Infernal Gateway on top because banter.
Yeah.
So they got quite a few cool stratagems.
Yes.
You can there's one that's like not been addressed, but it's like sorcery infusion. So when you cast over 9, you can add D3 models back to a unit, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or D3 wounds in total of models. So like, you know, your aspiring sorcerers casting crappy powers, like I'm just going to bump my unit back up. You can have the Risen Rubrique, which has been previewed on Warhammer Community.
Yeah.
So when you set up
I love this.
a Rubric Marines unit, you can just set it up on the board like old Raven Guard. So it just sets up anywhere on the board more than 9 away, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, enemy deployment zone, enemy models. So obviously scouts will annoy you, but I mean that's for one.
I can just see it as being like a load of dusty boys getting up out of the sand. You know, here's our bolt guns, we're ready. I love that so much. Yeah.
But more competitively, Jay, we're coming out of the sand with, with our warp flamers, which are -2. Good. And then you just, because if you know you're going first, you use it. If you don't know you're going first, you hide them.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah, absolutely. It's solid, and I love it. Just the fluff and the crunch all comes together magically for me for that one.
Yeah.
Infernal Fulisade, I think, is probably one of the strongest. But you've got to choose your moment for it.
Yeah.
So use it when a Rubric Scarab Terminator unit shoot with in the shooting phase. To the end of that phase, models in that unit can shoot twice with rapid fire weapons if you did not move this turn.
Yeah. It's that little caveat at the end makes it more situational.
Yeah.
So
and that's why it's 1 CP, because otherwise it would be 2 for definite.
Yeah, 2, maybe 3 to just shoot twice. Because don't forget, like, all Thousand Suns bolters are -2, barring the Rhino.
Absolutely.
So they're -2 AP.
So you've got
4.
80 shots coming out of that unit of Thousand Suns Terminators.
Yeah, the Scarab Cult, unit 10, 4 shots each. It's just 80 shots. I mean, the thing is you can shoot twice. So you can shoot once
you shred 2
and
units.
Then shoot again, which is really good. It's just absolutely insane. And obviously you're shooting probably Hellfire missiles at the same time. I mean, you can't shoot those twice, but you're still shooting them on top. So that unit is absolutely a monstrous in shooting. And
time.
it will just clear anything. It might not clear a knight, but it'll clear anything else.
It'll clear quite a substantial lot.
Yeah. Who needs to target characters where you can delete everything in front of it and shoot them anyway? So
that's all of the screens gone, ever.
Yeah. So whilst Thousand Suns, the other one as well is like Adepts of the Immaterial. It's like when you finally suffer a perils because you rolled 19 on 2 dice, you just ignore it. You just go 1 CP. Don't perils. Yeah.
That's right. It's not even like I just re-roll it for 1 CP. No, I just won't perils. It's okay.
I just don't.
So I still cast on double 6. I just haven't perils.
Yeah, I've cast. It's 25 on 2 dice, but I did roll a double 6, so 1 CP. Be all right. So yeah, I think the stratagems are really cool. They're really good.
Yes.
The cults are really good. Again, the fact that you can mix and match them, kind of like chapter tactics, but not really, is really good for each detachment for no penalty whatsoever.
Yeah. It's just a flat buff.
So you could take 3 different cults if you wanted to. The downside is pure Thousand Suns are still quite expensive, but they've definitely given some units some more a new lease of life. For example, Terminators
Massively.
and Rubrique being able to just appear out of nowhere. There's nothing that touches Zangors really in this book. Like
no,
not one.
Which is good though, because it's the cults of Prospero, and it's not the Goat Boys of Prospero.
Yeah, but I think
so like, I'm down with that.
Yoked Automata specifically says other than a Zangor unit, for example.
Yeah.
So like none of the stratagems touch Zangors, even though they were the guards of Prospero. They went in the cults, but they did keep an outdoor. Names not down.
But they weren't allowed inside.
No, they didn't have their names down.
Gentlemen's club.
Yeah.
Vic's just brought up a big thing in chat. We did miss this one out. You can have a 2-up invulnerable save.
Yes.
Which is disgraceful.
Which one gives you that?
So it's Indomitable Foes, I think it's called. So you have that. It gives you +1 to your invulnerable saves. You can use Weaver of Fates, and it gives you 3++. If the weapons damage 1, then you get +1 to your saves as well. So you get a 2++ invulnerable, which means that unit of immortal Terminators is going to be an immortal unit of Terminators.
I didn't realise all this dust added to your invulnerable save as well. That's good. I'm just going to confirm that. So
that one is Indomitable Foes. When a Rubric Marines or Scarab Occult Terminator unit from is chosen as the target of an attack to the end of that phase, you get +1 to your invulnerable save to
maximum C3+. Yeah. So again, you cut out a little bit, so I'm just repeating it just in case.
And then you just get
all these
everything else coming through.
All these dots.
Is that just armor saves?
One. It's all saving throws. So I did just check.
Yeah, I thought it was as well.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. That's why I checked. Better to check than then get it wrong. But yeah. But it is all same. It just says improve the saving throw by 1, which is really good. So damage 1. Ha! Screw you, boys. I have 2 plus invulnerable saves.
And that's how you make Terminators type. Shrugging off bullets like nobody's business, as long as they're painted blue and gold stripes.
Yeah, or silver, because the Grey Knights have got the same, right? They've got lots of stuff that improves Terminators half damage, like making tough to 5 and stuff like that. Fights you die. So, but then you got like your Sorcerer. He casts on a 9 because he gets +19 to cast. It brings another one back. Hooray!
Do you want to know the big difference between the Grey Knights getting their unkillable Terminators and Thousand Suns getting their unkillable Terminators?
Oh, do tell, Jay. Do tell.
Well, it costs Grey Knights about 5 command points. It costs 1.
Very true.
It's so tragic.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But overall, I think Thousand Suns have come out with some righteously strong stuff. And I think you'll start seeing a Thousand Suns detachment, even if it's just a cheap Thousand Suns detachment, thrown in somewhere so you can get your free stratagem and you've got some extra command points from that. And I think that's going to be solid. Yeah,
as again, because Supreme Commands in Chaos Soup is not uncommon of Thousand Suns.
Yeah,
and now they've just got better. As you saw, Tony Chu won Kali Uprising with a Supreme Command.
Horrendous list,
spamming Smite, and now he just gets buffed for free. It's like what Toby said. You're just getting buffs on that army already for free. It was already doing great as a
solid.
So it kind of raises the interesting question is whether you should gain these benefits if you are souping or not. Because Grey Knights don't get tides, but you do get everything else. Maybe some of these things. I don't. As I said, like you've got some. Really
I almost feel
the one-trick ponies, in my opinion, a lot of it So I don't think it needs to. But I think if they do start upping that power level completely, maybe they need to start saying, maybe we need to do the same as Doctrine, so you don't get it if you soup.
Yeah.
I also think
I think that Chaos is almost like designed to soup.
Yes, I do agree
and
with
it
that.
always feels extremely thematic. Whereas, like, if any Chaos player says, "Yeah, I've got Chaos soup," you're like, "All right, cool." If any Imperial player Imperial soup, you start to think, "Oh, you dirty."
Yeah, you take it. Maybe it's because of the list building as well. Because like in Imperial soup, you typically see a faction of some sort, usually close combat, with guard and knights. That's like a typical soup faction. Or you see custodians and guard, because guard are good for CP, and then
command points and bodies,
and then custodians are good for hitting something, and they need CP to work.
Yeah.
Maybe if we saw more typical Chaos soups, we'd feel the same, but we don't, because it's a bit more flavour. You're going to go lots of different ways, which is nice. Because usually what you see in a Chaos soup is plague bearers, but you don't see it anymore. So
yeah, now it's like a Nurgling detachment, so you've got different stratagems you can actually
purely for CP.
Guff, but
so the Nurgling detachment is actually the same as the guard detachment,
basically.
But you have more stuff to play with.
Smaller, squidgier ones.
Smaller, squidgy, yeah, and more smelly. Well, as I said, it's an interesting question. If they do keep bumping that power level, like the power level for like Space Marines is up here, like off the screen if you're watching live.
Yeah.
Like Thousand Suns are like here, they're still on the screen, they're quite high, but if they keep bumping that power level higher, are they gonna have to say you can't get this if you soup? Because like, what if you've got like 3 factions that all get bumped at this really high power level? You just slam them together. So
yeah,
like when Demons get an update with Thousand Suns, it's gonna be monstrous.
It definitely is.
Because Zinch don't get played hardly. I mean, I said Chewy did it, but like no one does it. No one plays Zinch competitively.
Yeah.
Like the last time
I loved Chewy's list though.
Last time I saw a lot of change at the table must have been like the start of 8th edition.
Yeah, it was the last time I saw a lot of change at the table. I was actually playing Warhammer.
Like, yeah, it's a bit it's something very interesting to keep an eye on. Because I think, as I said, like going back to the crystal balls of Magnus, looking into the past now about the LVO predictions, I think Chaos will be an underdog and will make it to the top. I don't necessarily think it'll be the possessed bomb. I think it'll be something that no one's ever seen before that just happens to get to the top as a prediction. However, so Thousand Suns out of 9, Jay, what do you think?
Oh, out of 9, I see what you did there. I will give them 8 Cults of Magnus out of 9.
8 Cults of Magnus. Yeah, I give them a 7 or 8. I said they've got lots of stuff. There's nothing that jumps out, but I think if you really dive in and start seeping and taking exactly what you need, then you'll have a great time.
Yeah.
The great thing is if you are a narrative player, which I know we don't normally address, but here we go. You get 9 different paint schemes for Thousand Suns now, which is really cool. Well,
which is very
essentially
cool.
10. Yeah. Essentially 10. You have the normal one, which I don't know if is aligned to a cult, the blue and gold, but then you have like lots of different ways you can take it. So, which is really cool.
Nice.
So that's Thousand Suns. So the final Chaos faction, Dark Angels.
Oh, you did the joke again.
I did, yeah. It's a dead meme, beating it like a dead horse now. So Dark Angels got a nice update. They got a Blood Angels treatment, also known as an Iron Hands treatment, also known as the rest of Space Marines. The rest of Space Marines.
Did they really?
Well, they got.
Did they?
They got
a super doctrine. Level. They got warlock
doctrines. They got doctrines. They got a super doctrine. So they're on the same level as Space Marines, but then you come into this weird like zone where you've got Space Marines are all up here, and you've got the rest of the game down here. So you got Warhammer, and then you Warhammer 40k, and then you got Warhammer 40k 2, and this is where all the Space Marines are. They're playing their own game. They play their own game. So maybe Dark Angels are at the bottom of Space Marines, but they're still Space Marines, so they're still quite high.
They're still Space Marines.
Yeah.
They're definitely still Space Marines. They're not at the bottom because they're still a Space update.
Yeah, exactly. So by Blood Angels treatment, I mean they got their supplement in Psychic Awakening rather than a separate book like Iron Hands, etc.
Absolutely, I totally got what you meant. But
for those at home who didn't,
are they going to be that strong? I think there's definitely some room in here to give a buff. So they kept Grim Resolve.
Yeah. So if they stand still.
That's right, yeah. If you stay still, you roll 1s for attacks made with ranged weapons. That's it. Also, if you fail a morale test, only one person can ever run away. So, okay, that's cool, I guess. But morale isn't a massive thing for Marines anyway.
No, because you're re-rolling it anyway. You're taking units of 5, maybe 10 usually. So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, I fail on a 3+. Okay, I rolled 2, I re-roll it.
Yeah.
For example.
The Grim Resolve thing's only really good if you are going to play sort of scattered around the table, which currently you can't really do. There's too much that punishes that style of play. And so you're going to be near a chapter master style thing anyway.
Yeah, the typical.
We'll come on to that shortly. Yeah, they got a super doctrine.
Yeah, it's interesting that they didn't update the chapter tactic like they did Blood Angels. It's something I missed when I played Blood Angels on the battle report. There's actually a battle report that I filmed for Premium where I do remember it because they actually get +1 to charge now, which is amazing.
Yeah, they do.
It's so
massive.
easy to miss because it's the same name of doctrine. It's not a doctrine. It's the same.
And it's just hidden at the bottom.
Space Marines. Sorry, Tom Bramman needed it. So yeah, but the Dark Angels stayed exactly the same in terms of chapter tactic, but they did get doctrines, and they gained the super doctrine, which is what we call the bonus doctrine for being in a particular doctrine. That was a lot of doctrine words.
That's right.
I'm trying to find what it's called.
And theirs is called Relentless Hunt.
Thank you.
Basically, if you're in a Devastator Doctrine, all heavy and rapid fire weapons for your Dark Angels units with that ability have an extra 16, which is not to be sniffed at because you've got range 30 bolt guns, which is range 15 rapid fire, and range 36 for your intercessors and stuff. Heavy bolters and assault cannons go up to 30, which is really good.
Yeah.
If you've got an assault or a pistol weapon, the range is increased by 3. Okay. So that's neat.
I found while I was struggling, Jay, I apologise. So you have, at the beginning, I'm going to show on screen, you have Dark Angels as the title, like, hala, look, this is cool models. And then it says, Sons of the Lion, and it talks all about the abilities, and then it talks about some fluff. It talks about some fluff about Master Lazarus and the Unforgiven, and then it says abilities, right? Which tells you all about Angels of Death and Bolt of Discipline, etc., and doctrines. And then I turn the page, and then it's data sheets. Then I get to the end of the data sheets. That's where it says Angels of Death. It tells me the chapter tactic and the super doctrine. That's why I'm struggling.
So it's really well laid out then. That's good to know as well.
Yeah.
It's okay, Dark Angels players. You'll also only really need 1 page.
Yeah.
But yeah, Relentless Hunt I think is good. There are some clear winners out of the Dark Angels range that are going to be able to abuse that pretty heavily, and I like that. Yeah. But Relentless Hunt is not the same as Iron Hands in Devastator Doctrine, Fists in Devastator Doctrine, or any of that. It's nowhere near the same power curve, which is a shame. It
just means that you're more likely to benefit from Grim Resolve because you've got a longer range, so you can stand still for longer, essentially. Which is interesting. Obviously, along with this book, you did get Master Lazarus, which is a really cool Dark Angels character. So cool, very cool model. And so elusive that they didn't put the points in the book.
It's a book of secrets, and they kept one for themselves.
Yeah, we should have
Master Lazarus is 105 points.
Yes, so it did get announced on Facebook. Basically, they copied the points out of Chapter Approved and then not put in Master Lazarus because he's new. What we should have called this episode is Hellstorm Wargaming Podcast, episode 26. Games Workshop, please feed your staff. Because as much as I love Games Workshop, and thank you so much for sending this book, I love you.
Look,
but come on now, it's getting a bit unreal.
It's not as bad as the people in Chinese greetings card factories having to write messages inside of please send us food and please help us. We're prisoners.
No.
It's not that level.
The thing is, Games Workshop is a fantastic company. It's a fantastic company that's doing great things for the hobby, but also when they had that massive profit last year, they gave a lot of it to staff. So, and I do love the books. I do love the game. I absolutely love them. So sorry for making a slaving comment. However, come on now. Happened a few times now. Just slow down a little bit.
Hashtag professionalism.
We don't mind waiting 1 week extra between books. Just read it first before you send it to print. I know that's going to take 3 years because they're already that far in front and they're already printing them that far ahead. But no. Okay. Anyway,
it's not as bad as the Space Wolves.
No. The Lion and the Dog.
Let's move on.
Yeah, well.
Lazarus is cool. We'll touch on him really quick.
He's
I
really
don't think
cheap.
you'll ever see him in competitive play.
Maybe not. He's quite cheap for what he is. 6 wound Primaris. He's got the typical Primaris discount.
Yeah.
Whereas Primaris are really cheap compared to the old stuff. 6 wounds, rerolls hit rolls of 1. All units within 6 inches have a 5+ ignore mortal wounds, unless it's himself, and it's a 4+, which is cool. And then when he dies, he can fight as if he'd used the stratagem, which is nice. I mean, he's got an anti-psycho sword, which is cool. So it'd be
I do like that actually.
Strength 6 -4 D3 damage, which is really good. When resolving an attack made with this weapon against a psychic, you can reroll the wound and the damage roll, which is nice. So against Grey Knights, you're having a great time.
That's right.
I mean, it's relatively cheap if you wanted an extra captain, for example. I mean, if you're going to take a Primaris captain, which is already like 90 points, you could take Master Lazarus for 3 buffs.
You could do, yeah.
I am going to double check how much a captain is.
There's a load of data sheets in there as well, so you get your chaplain there. And you get all interrogator chaplains also now got litanies and everything, which is really nice. I like that.
Yeah. I should say that a base cost master is 78 points. So before you give him any weapons, so you're looking at like 85 points, for example. So you can pay an extra 20 and get an extra free rule, which is cool. But yeah, so essentially they got the Space Marine update treatment where they get all the extra data sheets, all the Vanguard stuff. They get all the chaplains get updated, so Asmodai can do litanies now. You got your Primaris Master, which is cool. Infiltrators and Cursors, all that general stuff. You got a Repulsor Executioner, which interestingly enough on the instruction manual had interesting different movements for depending on how many wounds you had. It because different languages said it differently. Yeah, so I know Nick Moodade did it. He might be watching the chat, but essentially depending which language you read the damage table in, it was different. So essentially, it just didn't make any sense.
So if your repulsor had an accent, it moved 6 at its lowest profile instead.
How controversial. So now the Repulsor Execution has got its own data sheet, which is in here along with the Impulsor. And then you got you got 3 pages of stratagems. I think it's 3. It's not 4.
Yes.
You gained, as a Dark Angels player, you gained a lot of the Space Marine stratagems. So what you'd find in the normal codex. Yeah. So for
Do you know which stratagem you didn't gain though?
Which one didn't they gain? Which one did I miss?
No, it's just one that's a bit unfortunate. I get why they haven't done it, but you don't get the Chapter Master.
Yeah,
which is huge.
Neither did the Blood Angels though. But I think that's because they already have a named Chapter Master. Fair enough that Iron Hands and Imperial Fist can get around that because the way the successor traits work.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a shame.
They do have a named Chapter Master in their codex.
Yeah. And Azrael's still a beast. It's just he also doesn't get the Chapter Master treatment of re-rolling all hits, which is unfortunate.
And he's not Primaris, and he's a named character, so he can't give him the 3-inch bubble aura, so make it 9 inch, which is really good. I do think maybe that if you do have a Chapter Master model in your range, you shouldn't be able to use the stratagem to gain a Chapter Master. Does Grim Resolve now cover the whole army? That is a good question. Yes, all units except servitors. So everyone gets it. So Predators might see a rise. Haha, I can sit in the back and reroll ones to hit. Or I could take that 105 point Primaris character and get that as well.
Okay. Well, we'll have a look. But I've got a list that I think is going to be if I want to play Dark Angels, and we'll touch on that at the end because there's obviously quite a lot of stuff to still go through. Yeah. You did get a lot of the Marine stratagems, like we just said.
I'm going to count Eternal.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a Dark Angels one. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
14.
Yeah, I was getting. I'm trying to remember the names of the Marine ones.
Yeah, so there's about 14 stratagems from the Space Marine Codex. As a light peppering of what you have got, you've gained Transhuman Physiology, you've gained Hero of the Chapter, Gene Wrote Might, Vengeance of the Machine Spirit, Big Guns Never Tire, and on all the intercessor-based ones and stuff like that. And obviously Duty Eternal, which is the half damage strat for Dreadnoughts. So you gain quite a bit. So you're essentially on the same playing field as every other Space Marine chapter, bar Space Wolves now, which I imagine they will get in their book, which is going to be.
Yeah, I can see it being basically the same stuff as in this, with obviously the the wolf, the fang, the snow, the ice, whatever words in front of it instead.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll reprint the Warlord traits for Space Wolves in the book. I really hope they do.
I bet they do, but I bet they still forget to put in the extra page.
Should be quite funny.
So let's look at some of the new stratagems. We won't go through all again. They have been, but one of my favourites is this one: high speed focus. It's 1 CP. Use it when a Raven Wing unit from your army shows an attack for an attack, maybe a ranged weapon, until the start of your next movement phase. Models in that unit benefit from the Jink ability, even if they didn't advance. So if you go second, your Dark Talon is not automatically dead.
Yeah.
Dark Shroud, rather, which is brilliant.
Yeah, which is really cool. So is it Jink?
Because you super need that. 4+ invul. Yeah, exactly.
Which
so
is really,
happy
really
days.
Yeah.
That's powerful. And it's 1 CP, because you're going to want to use that every turn, because this way now you don't have to advance your Dark Shroud, because it can sit still in a bubble of stuff that's giving it a bonus. You've got an assault cannon on there, which you'll pay the points for now. So that's quite nice. And that assault cannon is now range 30, so it can interact with stuff from the other side of the table, which is great.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So that's really good.
You've got big guns never tire if you need it.
Yeah.
But hopefully you won't.
Yeah, another cool one from Dark Angels is the combined assault. I think that's been previewed on Warhammer Community anyway. But usually the enemy phase, when you would set up a Deathwing unit with a teleport strike ability, you can set that unit wholly within 6 of friendly Raven Winged biker unit that has not advanced this turn, but more than 6 away from enemy models. So you essentially deep strike 6 inches away from enemy models if you've got Raven Wing there. It was really cool. It's nice, brilliant. Short charge for everyone for the first. So.
And it's fluffy. That's the way they're meant to work, is in combination with each other. So I love that.
Yeah, exactly, which is really cool.
I like the stratagem just because of the name. Honoured by the Rock.
Yeah.
All I can see is some Dark Angel stood there with, as in, well, you could have gone with that way, but I meant like the Rock.
Oh, okay.
Eyebrow. Greatest WWE champion of all time.
Can you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Absolutely.
It's another relic for you, mate.
There you go.
Enjoy.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you got some good stratagems that are both fluffy, which is great. Fits in with the theme of the army and everything else, but also are very useful.
Yeah.
You did get 6 Warlord traits, but sort of didn't. You got 3 for Deathwing models, and you got 3 for Raven Wing models. Nothing new for Green Wing models.
Yeah.
That's fine, I guess. And there's a really good one, as far as I'm concerned, right here. Because you've now got Hero of the Chapter, your Warlord can have his Warlord trait. You can give somebody else a Warlord trait. I love this one. It's impeccable mobility. Whilst within 6 inches of this Warlord, models in Raven Wing units in your army do not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons, or for advancing and firing assault weapons, which is awesome. So you can now move and fire with no penalty.
Yeah, or advance and shoot, which is really good.
Which is epic.
Yeah, especially if you want to get.
And you're at a longer range.
Yeah, because you wanted to get Jink off anyway, because you get a 4% yeah, it's really, really good.
So that's massive.
Yeah.
And you just get that. So I would put that on something like a Raven Wing Talon Master. He's got a massive footprint.
Yeah.
He's got assault cannon. He's got heavy bolters. He's not bad in combat, and I'd take a couple of them. And Samael.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can do that, because I said because of the Hero of the Chapter. It's really good.
It's very, very strong. Big fan of that. Were any that stood out here for you?
Inexorable was alright. It's one basically they stole from the Imperial Fist book. So it's a Deathwing Warlord. You can't be wounded on 1, 2, or 3, which is really good. If you want like a slam Terminator to throw in there, which is nice. Throw him into an Imperial Knight.
Yeah.
You only wound me on a 4+. Good luck. I've got a 2 up armor save. Usually got a 3+ invuln, which is really good. I think it was Watched is quite decent, so you can deny, which obviously
that's
Dark
cool.
Angels don't have very much, so you can kind of like go, oh, actually, I'm against a Psycho heavy army. Maybe I'll try and deny 1 power, which is quite nice.
But
it's automatic.
Oh, it's automatic, yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is really good. Yeah. You go, I'm going to try and deny that one, and then you go, actually, it's denied. So for 1 CP, just being able to throw that into a list is really handy.
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to be Deathwing. But obviously, if it's Deathwing, usually in Terminator army, you can deep strike him any way you want and just go.
That's right.
No.
When you really need to stop that miasma of pestilence going off,
Yeah,
that will
exactly.
do.
So,
Or that warp time that's going to be super clutch your opponent.
Yeah, exactly. So that one's quite handy. So I think Ravenwing and Deathwing have both got one good ones. The other ones are not bad. I mean, there's the tactically flexible, so you can change which doctrine you're in for a Ravenwing unit, which is all right. Which is quite.
It's a little bit like the Ultramarine one. That's a squad. You can make it in the tactical doctrine or every turn or something with one.
Yeah,
I
think it's called something very similar. So you'd use it on aggressors for an Ultramarines, and this one you could use it for your Ravenwing to go into tactical doctrine, for example, for your rapid fire weapons.
Yeah.
To get -4 on all your plasma and stuff like that.
So you've got some good relics.
Yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to check these though. That's the issue. I've read everything else.
Have you not?
No, I
so I'll give a quick read
them.
through.
Yeah, you
while I read out my favourite. So we've already said that I really like the Warlord trait that buffs a Talon Master. I think Talon Masters are probably the best unit in the Dark Angel Codex.
Mm-hmm.
You get one called Corvus Oculus. Ravenwing Talon Master only adds 6 inches to the range characteristic of ranged weapons a model this relic is equipped with.
Mm-hmm.
So if in a Devastator Doctrine, you go from having a 24-inch range assault cannon to a 36-inch range assault cannon.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, when resolving an attack made with a ranged weapon by a model with this relic, add 1 to the hit roll.
That's really good.
So you got 36-inch range, you hit on 2s. And you can move and fire with no penalty. It's so good.
Or you re-rolling, as I said. Because of Grim Resolve. So
yeah.
Really, really good. The Pennant of Remembrance is really good. The Deathwing Ancient relic.
Yeah.
Models within 6 get a 5+ feeling of pain or damage prevention roll, which is really, really handy. Again, making those Terminators that are quite expensive very, very tough, very hardy. Which is quite decent, to be fair.
So this book's clearly all about making Terminators powerful, which is nice.
It is. It should be Psychic Awakening Terminators.
Yeah. Terminator Awakening. That's
Terminator
the Terminator film.
Yeah, it's like Terminator 19. Yeah.
However, I just want to point out that it still costs Grey Knights about 5 CP to do that, and everybody else now gets it for just a relic or a trait.
Just buy a Warlord trait. I don't think you can't buy extra relics, can you? With it, they didn't get that strategy.
You can always buy extra relics through the Dark Angel Codex. You still get that, so it'd be 1 for 1 CP 3. Or 2 for 3 CP, which is unfortunate. But
whereas Space Marines can buy as many as they like for 1 CP. But there you go. Well, 1 CP ago. But yeah,
unless is that the honor? No, it's just a successor thing.
So basically, you gained the access to successors, but you don't get successor traits. So it's essentially you're playing Dark Angels, but worse.
Yeah.
Sadly, you can't take.
I just want to point out as well, your actual relics can be given to vehicles. That's why the Talon Master can take a relic, but the Special Issue War Gear, you can't give that to a vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's a slight bit of difference from the regular Marine books and stuff like that. There's some good War Gear. Angel's Ambit is really nice. You get 3 entries on your aura abilities, so it's like the Vox of Spiritum.
Yeah, it's really, like that. And it's not Primaris limited, which is really good. So you could do something similar with the Apothecary Ancient, have a 9-inch
5-foot Feeling of Pain.
Final Feeling of Pain without it being Primaris, which is cool. You obviously did get the 4 standard ones. Adamantine Mantle, which is a 5+ damage prevention roll.
Yeah.
Artificer Armor, which is your 2+5+ invuln. Mastercrafted Weapon to +1 damage, and then Digital Weapons, which is no one's ever used ever. Just take them all wound. Cool.
There's another good one here, though. Arbiter's Gaze. When you're making an attack by a model as relic, ignore negative hit roll modifiers and ballistic skill modifiers. Firing Overwatch, you hit using your ballistic skill rather than a 6.
Yeah, so if you're BST, you always hit on 2s no matter what. That's really, really good for something like a Talon Master.
Goodbye planes.
Yeah, exactly. Like, could buy anything. Possess Bomb. Like, it's a nice counter. I mean, you're playing Dark Angels against Possess Bomb, you're not having a great time anyway. But that is a really good counter for it. You know,
it'll certainly get through the hit Disco Lord, so you know what's not to love about that.
Yeah, exactly. So they got that. They got Bolts of Judgment, which is like it's essentially give it to a bolt weapon. When the model shoots with that weapon, you can choose to fire a Bolt of Judgment instead. You can only make 1 attack, but it has an armor penetration of -2 and damage 3. And when resolved attack, a wound roll of 6+6 successful if the target is a vehicle or monster unit. Otherwise, the wound is 2+. So essentially, poison rounds and 2+. But it's only 1 shot, which is hit and miss. So
Yeah, it's nice, but I'd probably never choose to take it.
Yeah, it's nice if you put it on something like what you see a lot of the bolts of judgment is you put it on a Phobos captain with his sniper rifle.
Yeah, with the sniper.
Yeah, with his sniper rifle bolter, or you could give it to an eliminator sergeant if you wanted to. For 160.
I don't know if you.
Do they have
is that? I don't think that's in this book.
Okay, so let's have a look. It's not honoured by the rock, is it?
No, that's the successor thing.
Okay, so you can't do it with these guys. You can do it with normal Space Marines. So they have a strategy where you can give a sergeant. It's like honoured by the chapter or something, where you can give a sergeant a special issue war gear, but you can't do that in there. So that's what normally happens. But this one is just to be something like the Phobos captain with the sniper rifle, or the lieutenant, or something like that. That's a shame.
No, you can't do it. Yeah. It is, yeah. I think it's maybe because they just didn't think they were trustworthy enough.
Maybe, yeah, probably wise. So obviously you get litanies, you get the 6 same ones and the Space Marine Codex, where you get Dark Angel's Stoic Prosecution. So if it's inspiring, then when an infantry unit that is within 6 of this unit did not advance or fall back this turn is chosen to shoot with, models in that unit can shoot with ranged weapons as if they had remained stationary. Yeah. So that's really good tied with your Super Doctrine and your Grim Resolve. So all units within 6, which is also nice. A lot of the better chaplain litanies are usually 1 unit within 6, but this is all units within 6, which is good. So you basically you can move everything. It's infantry only, which is hit and miss. But I mean, if you wanted to have aggressors in a 4+ invuln because of Azrael, keep them at the back, but you can move them around and then shoot twice still. I believe.
It says they count. They don't count as having moved.
Yeah, they count as remaining stationary, right? So they can shoot twice.
Therefore, double tap.
Yeah, and they also get Relentless Hunt. The aggressors wouldn't. That's why I was just checking because they're not rapid fire, but they can double tap. Everything else gets you +6 inch range from your Super Doctrine, and you can reroll 1s to hit as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah, definitely.
So that litany ties in really well with the chapter tactic and stuff. So
it does, yeah.
I think is there a strategy that does something similar that says like you can count as not moving?
It was the Warlord trait for Ravenwing, so moving.
Yeah, it was.
Anything within 6 as Ravenwing doesn't take the penalty hit for heavy and assault if you've advanced.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I thought there was a stratagem as well, but I was mistaken.
Yeah. But I'm a fan.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'd quite happily take Dark Angels to an event, knowing that if I came up against a couple of lists, I'd have a really, really tough game. Yeah. But I think they've got some unique tricks, things like your Azrael 4-up invulnerable save bubble, which is epic.
It's really good.
You can probably do a lot of really, really good stuff with Dark Angels. So plenty of things to be looking forward to. You don't get some of the beefier traits and things from the Marine Codex, but it is what it is.
Quite a lot to play with, which is cool.
Yeah.
We didn't
so if we were rating this,
we didn't give you a name before.
Oh, we didn't do a name. What?
Can you remember my name? Imodin.
Imhotep.
Imodin.
What? Imodium something.
Imodian Gaviscon.
That's right.
You want to do your first name? Your
sure. Let's go. 46.
46 is Boreal. Boreal.
Boreal.
Boreal.
I'm worth it.
Boreal is the Blood Ravens character that's like, we are Space Marines and we are gonna do intercept with Deep Strike. It's known as Steel Ray. That's Boreal, but it is Boreal. And just so you know, if I roll a 1-1 or a 6-6, you don't have a last name.
Really?
I rolled a 3, so you definitely do. Oh, if I roll a 31, you don't either, or a 41, or a 51.
Why?
So I got 32, which is Seraphus. So you're Boreal Seraphus for today.
Boreal Seraphus. There we go. That's the reason to buy the book right there.
Mate, the name generator, as terrible as they sound, are really funny.
Boreal. The book is worth it.
If you play your army, right, and generate yourself a name, you and your mate, before you play, and only dress yourself as that, or if you get it wrong, you give your opponent a command point or something, you'll have one of the best games of Warhammer you've had in the past 6 months.
Absolutely.
Before there was name generators.
Yeah, nice. So out of any secret agenda, how many books?
Redacted.
I think that's a brilliant answer.
Nah, I think it's decent.
Nice.
In all honesty, I think it's decent. Again, it puts Dark Angels in line with the other chapters to a point.
Yeah.
Because not having their chapter tactic affect the army is annoying when other Space Marines already get that. Obviously, I appreciate fellow Chaos Space Marine players don't get that yet. But I am sure they probably will eventually one day. So it kind of brings you more in line with that, and it gives you some of the same stuff that you'll see. So essentially, I think what they should have done is just taken Dark Angels, Space Wolves, and Blood Angels, and just made them a supplement. Whilst that kind of makes you buy 2 books, I think that probably would have been better. Would have made Space Marines more clean.
Yeah, to a point, I'm glad they haven't, because I think if I was a Dark Angels player and my codex and my history of got relegated to here's your supplement, I probably feel a little bit naffed off, like I'd been not quite given the same service, but it would have made things a little tidier. And if I cared more about the crunch than the fluff of my army, then I probably would have been happier.
Yeah, maybe, but I mean, the thing is with the supplement is you have all the fluff in there anyway. You have a lot of fluff about the chapter. I mean, it's a little bit diluted compared to what Dark Angels have, but it's more than what they had in the old codex. So they could have just filled it out a little bit more, and then you get all your units in one place, all your stratagems in one place, and then everything's tidy because you've essentially got you've got this book, and then you've got your Dark Angels Codex. It makes no difference if you've got a Chaos Space Marine Codex and then your Dark Angels one on top.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Don't forget, you've then got your rulebook, your chapter approved.
Yeah, so I mean, but in terms of carrying space, it's the same. It's just essentially every single Space Marine chapter would be on the same level. The only difference is the supplements. But
it's GW's way of making sure that every nerd plays 40k, because you'll be carrying around all your books in one hand and your army in the other hand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I mean, because you have success, because you can be a successor, but you can't take a successor trait. You're just a Dark Angel that's not as good.
Yeah.
For example, so it's stuff like that I think maybe you can play a Dark Angel, but you get successor traits, so you can do what Iron Hands do. You can be Master Artisans and Stealthy, but you're a Dark Angel, so you get extra 6-inch range, which is cool. You know what I mean? But that's just my thoughts. I mean, they've not done it that way, so fair enough. It's just my
and I think the book is still good. So if you're a Dark Angels player, a Thousands player, or a player, you definitely pick yourself up a copy of that. It's kind of necessary.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it just makes your army better for the sake of buying the book. You've got to buy a book, so it costs you 25 quid or whatever. But I mean, it makes your army better, and you get more lore.
Yeah.
It tells you all. I mean, look at that back artwork where Magnus is in all the fray behind the Dark Angels, and there's Grey Knights haha, we're fighting the demons, but Magnus is behind you. I mean, that's really cool. And there's this big massive picture of Magnus, a close up in the back. Some of the things that I think are often understated in some of the books, the pictures and the artwork in them are amazing.
Nice. I do love that picture.
It's a really cool picture.
Really bright poppy artwork. Right up my alleyway, that.
Yeah, so it is worth it, I think. Obviously, I want to say massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this. So I think it's great because I didn't pay for it. But it's super cool of them to send them through, and it just keeps us relevant, I suppose. I dread to think back to the days where we had to wait until the book was out to do anything with it. So it's really nice of them to send it through, and it's really cool.
It's quality. But that's my thoughts on the book.
Yeah, I think it's really good.
You got anything else to close with?
Cool. Well, no, I think
I'm sure everyone will wish you the absolute best of luck at the LVO.
Well, the day this is officially out, I'm not sure what day I'm going to release it, but I might have already been, and then probably cried a lot. We got two. We'll do 2 quick fire questions, and we'll call it. So we've got Richard Crosby. He says, "What model-wise, what would you like to see revealed at the LVO, and what do you think will be revealed at the LVO?" So, what would you like to see at LVO? Is a model reveal, or what do you think's going to come out? I think we all know that. I think we all know that Techless is coming out. It's going to be revealed for Agents of Sigmar.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of Sigmar stuff to go.
Yeah, I'd like a Primaris Lieutenant, to be honest.
You'd like another Primaris Lieutenant?
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Nice. I think you could definitely do a good LVO style Primaris Lieutenant. That would be cool.
That would be pretty fun. Yeah. I don't know what I'd wanted to release, to be honest.
In terms of 40k stuff that I'd actually desperately like to see, I'd like to see the rest of the Chaos stuff that they did only the snap fit monopose things released as their own boxes. So let's have some Obliterators. Let's have the Venom Crawler, because I love that model. That's sick. Yeah. Let's have all those as their own kits. That's what I'd really like to see released.
Yeah, I agree. And stuff like suppressors, they're still snap fit, essentially.
Yeah.
Snap fit, that you can't only get them in that starter collecting box, which is crap when you want 3 units, like me.
I want my AdMech Flyer.
I hate to steal Dan's. Yeah, the AdMech Flyer coming out. Tom wants to see a new AdMech Codex or an AdMech supplement, which would be really cool. But in model-wise, like, there's so much coming out all the time. I have no idea, because I'm sure they'll just exceed my expectations anyway. So
I think, that they've got a crazy production schedule.
Yeah.
And there's so much coming out, and it's always something that's new and not quite
something you're not thought of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'd really, really like to see the heavily, heavily rumored Gazgol model.
Yeah.
It's been rumored for 3 years, but you know.
Yeah, I love them to bring out something that's not Space Marines or Power Armor for a little bit and just crack on with that. Crack on with that, kid, because Shadow Sun looks cool, as much as I don't like Tau. Funny little fact: I've never painted a Tau model. I've painted every other faction in 40k. Never painted Tau. Never touched a brush.
Fair.
Don't know why. Never have.
My plan this year is to take a month off of doing commissions to paint an army for myself, which will be a Tau army.
Nice. That'd be really good.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. And final question from Tom as well. Pick one army / faction that you think will do surprisingly well in the new ITC season. For example, I would never expected Marines to be in the place they are now this time last year, if that makes sense. Like an underdog army. So what faction do you think could be doing really well this time next year?
Necrons.
Or what army would you like to see do really well? That's probably a different question. What army do you think will do well?
Also,
what would you'd like to see Necrons do well?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff that you could do with Necrons, and if they get a similar power on some of the Psychic Awakening stuff that other armies got, then I think they can do well, because they'll have more than one build by that point as well.
Yeah, I do think that the one trick of reanimation protocols is kind of been it's a bit dated now, how it works.
Yeah. And it's not as good as anything else. I'd rather have Feel No Pain than reanimation protocols. So yeah.
Yeah, because the way it used to work, you just left the unit there, which is great, and then you just tried to get it all back up, which is really fun. So that'd be really cool if they left that there. They said leave tokens or just leave your models where they are. And
that's right. Just let them down.
Go to standby. That's what you used to have to do.
It's like playing Guess Who.
Yeah, go to standby mode and then just get back up afterwards. Yeah, I think. How about you? I think Chaos Demons will be like a top spot next year.
Okay.
Because there's so much in that book that they can do, and if they Psychic Awaken it well, then I think you'll see interesting builds. You'll see like for example, like Zeech in AOS. Like, I know obviously this is a 40k podcast, but like the Lords of Change in there got a massive boost, and they're absolutely insane now. They're not combat monsters, but like for casting, like for example, if Lords of Change got this roll with some decent powers, it'd be amazing. When they cast, they roll 2d6, and then they change the lowest dice to match the highest. How insane is that? Can you imagine if they had that in 40k? They're like, yeah, I rolled a 6 and a 1, I just rolled a double 6. Cool.
You perils constantly.
Well, yeah, but what if you roll a 5? That's a natural 10 every time.
You've got a 33% chance of perils 6.
Yeah. But it's just insane. So I think if they changed Chaos Demons, like they made them better, because like the what do they call them now? The loci. The locais are pretty bad. There's like no point taking pure Chaos Demon X detachment, X being one of the Chaos Gods, because like they're just a bit weird and rubbish. But I think
they don't really fit. You know what I kind of like is, but it's just a ball ache anyway.
Yeah,
it's the one where you roll a dice and your opponent basically misses on that in combat.
Yeah, which is quite cool, but you don't want to be in combat, so it kind of saves your skin 1/6 of the time, but otherwise it doesn't. That does nothing. And then the Nurgle one where it's like +1 damage, it's like I don't care about that. I just stand still. But I think if they changed how demons work ever so slightly, like if they like revamped all the demons, the troops, and then revamped the greater demons. Sorry, like a lot of the other units work well, like the Blood Crushers work as they should, Screamers work as they should, for example. But if they change how horrors kind of like either their role or like Plague Bearers role, and then change like Great and Clean ones to be different, to be a bit more tanky, because they're pretty terrible. They're like tough and 6.
I think they need to be much tougher than they currently are.
Yeah, exactly. Like up the points, but like make them toughness 8, and they've got like a 4+ disgusting resilient that rerolls 1s or something obnoxious, because like everything else is obnoxious these days. 1 CP, they get a 2+ disgusting resilient, like for banter.
Great.
I'm really spitballing, but you know what I mean. I think if they got a massive change, like a lot of factions have, I think they'll be absolutely smashing the meta, because as we said earlier, you can suit with them very well.
Yes, very much so. I think that's a big strength behind Chaos. So I think you're right. I think Chaos using demons will definitely do very well.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go.
Man.
I think that's been a good podcast. It's been a longer one than we expected. Again, we are terrible at this time keeping thing.
Yeah. Sorry. If you made it this far, thank you so much.
But yeah, thank you very much for listening, everyone. This has been episode 26, Magnus's Crystal Balls, or the Crystal Balls of Magnus. I hope you enjoyed it. If you watched live, then thank you very much. We obviously did this in a premium community group. We'll probably, maybe, if this goes down well, we'll probably do this for pre-recorded shows that are going to be released later. But if you are listening back, you can be probably watching it on YouTube. But if not, you can also listen to it on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Podbean. So all of those, do like it, rate it, and stuff like that on there. It'd be really cool of you. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Hellstorm_Mikey, or you can follow me on Instagram at Hellstormwargaming. Jay, where can they find you, my dude?
Anywhere with @Mohawk Miniatures. Twitch stream Tuesday. Whilst I sit here and usually swear quite a lot, you can also find me on Instagram and Facebook.
There you go. So it was a little bit crackly. I think because we've been streaming in total tonight about 5 hours. I think so. You can find him on Instagram and Twitch, and he streams is it Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursday?
Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
There you go. Tuesday.
Live at 9.
There you go. Live at 9 p.m. UK time. You can watch him live. If you want to join the conversation, like we had questions at the end from Tom and Rich, you can join the Facebook community group, which is for Hellstorm Premium members only, hellstormwargaming.co.uk. If you want to get more battle reports and get in there and get some questions asked. You can also support us on Patreon at Hellstorm Wargaming. And you can also support Jay directly by going onto his Twitch and saying hello, dropping him a sub, chucking them bits at him. But will you please turn text-to-speech on donations over a certain amount? Like over a $5.
Maybe.
Over a $5. Come on, that's well worth it. I'd pay a $5 to annoy you.
Okay,
I mean, you get a $5, so.
I had to sit here for like 3 hours. Like, you didn't get paid for that.
Yeah, exactly. I can't believe I didn't get paid. Like, no one donated or subbed when I went even on live Twitch. Yeah.
Wow, no one subbed me. We weren't even on Twitch. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, everyone. Much love.
Thank you very much,
Peace
Tom.
out.
Thank you, John. My birthday's actually on Thursday, so it's already been my birthday, so thank you very much. But yeah, thank you very much. We've been Hellstorm. Jay's been Jay from Mohawk and kind of Hellstorm affiliate boss. And we'll catch you next Monday. Bye-bye.